We are going to start sitting up today. So I thought we could just take a moment for some self care, the legs and the hands, the feet. So if you have something you can sit on, I would recommend that because we're going to be here for a few minutes. I'm going to definitely sit on a blanket. Even sitting on a block should be okay. So you can either bend your left leg so your knee is pointing forward and then bring your right leg on top of it. But if this doesn't feel great, you can keep your legs straight and then bring your right leg on top. Okay. And we're going to start with a foot massage. I was looking at a post earlier about do you do self-care Sunday, and I was like, I do self-care every day. Like every day, it's actually on my to-do list. You know, I have to have a list for my business stuff, but for my own personal self-care, I actually put on there what I, every day have to. So press below the second and third toe. Just press on that padding for a moment. And then start to walk slowly down the arch of the foot. Really dig in there and notice any areas that are sore. You can stop and pay attention to any areas that need extra attention, and then go around the heel. Really, really, slow down and stop and be mindful of paying attention to your feet right now. It's easy just to go through the motion, but really feel what's going on. Move back to the Achilles tendon and give that some squeezes up and down. If you have tight calf muscles, that might be sore. And if that is sore, your heel might be sore. Just exploring, and then go ahead and start to rub the top of the foot from the bottom with your fingers and go all the way to the top, up to the toes. Starting with the pinky, we'll squeeze at the root of the pinky toe and just kind of pull and squeeze at the same time until you get all the way up to the tip of the toe. And then move on to the next one. You can even press the spaces in between the toes. And just continue with each foot or each toe, each foot. Foot number 3. I can even notice as I'm doing this, the toes that I haven't touched yet are a little bit more purple. The ones that I've already started kind of squeezing look like they're alive again. Go all the way to the big toe. And then fingers between the toes. So fingers between each toe. Do the best you can. I'd like you to, if this is something that you've been doing with me for a while, and maybe the first time you tried putting your fingers between the toes, it was a nightmare. And maybe now it's getting a little bit easier. Just kind of notice things like that. Because I imagine that it could be pretty painful to pull your toes apart like that. And then we're going to circle the ankle. So this is why we have our leg on top of the opposite leg, so it can kind of hang. So even if it drags on the floor, don't use the ankle at all. Use the hand to move the ankle. Circling it in both directions, clockwise, counterclockwise. Full range of motion of the ankle. And then we're going to stop the circling and pull the toes back. So stretching the whole top of the foot here. And actually let go of the toes and just put your hand on top of the foot and pull it back. Probably get a better stretch that way. Otherwise, it's going to focus too much on the toes. I do have some students that are wearing, high heels to work and stuff like that. I don't even, shoes are pretty important to me because my back I have to be very protective of the back and the feet. So depending on what kind of shoes you're wearing, I think both of you probably wear pretty decent shoes. You might feel this pretty deep. Go ahead and release. And then we'll switch to the other side. So you'll either have the right knee pointing forward or you can keep it straight. And then bring the left leg on top so that the ankle is hanging over the leg. And then we'll begin with thumbs on the padding below the second and third toe. And then go ahead and start to walk the thumbs down, digging deeply into that fascia band. And move into the heel. I'll be interested to ask you guys when we're done with this, if you have a good arch in the feet. I'm trying to remember your feet. I think you both do. Move back to the heel, Achilles tendon. And then notice anything. So like for me, I notice the back of my heel is a little bit sore on this foot. So I'm probably dealing with tighter or tight calf muscles on this left leg. And it's something I can address later. Start to massage the top of the foot all the way to the toes. And then start to squeeze the toes one at a time. Start with the root of the pinky. Pull and squeeze. Now, you might be thinking, this isn't yoga. I'm just sitting here. But you have thousands of nerve endings in your feet, and this is absolutely important for the mind-body connection. And if you're feeling your fingers on the toes and noticing the sensations you're getting as you massage, you're practicing mindfulness, which does incredible things for the brain. Okay, interlace the fingers between the toes, even if you just gotta wedge them in there. The toes are meant to be separate. And then hang the ankle, move the ankle joint around, forward, backward. And as I'm doing this, you know, you can have some gratitude for what your feet do for you, and especially your ankles. I mean, as we get older, the bone density lessens. You guys practicing yoga is going to keep your bones strong. It helps prevent osteoporosis and things like that. I mean, as we get older, not too many non-yogis practice standing on one foot, you know, for minutes at a time. And you guys are doing it several times in a month and more. All right, release the toes, top of the foot. You're going to press it and pull it back. Just stretch out the top of the foot. And noticing things like, oh, are my calf muscles tight? Well, that's connected to the lower leg, which is going to affect the knee, which is going to affect the hips, all connected. Go ahead and release. And then we're going to bring the feet flat to the floor. And then we're going to do our little tapping. So flat fists here. And then starting up at the outer hip, just start to tap lightly. Make your way up to the knees. And then down the outer leg. And then move to the top by the shins. Go all the way up to the knees. And down the top of the legs. Inner thighs. All the way down to the ankles. And then underneath. So starting at the bottom of the leg, all the way up to the knees. and down the hamstrings, back of the legs. All right, straighten the legs out. You can remove, if you need this for forward folds, you can keep it, but otherwise you can put it off to the side if you're ready to do that. Remove the flesh from the sitting bones. Flex the feet. I was just looking at my leg. I have the imprint from my mat on my leg. I'm like, what the heck? Inhale, lengthen. And then exhale, slowly walk the fingertips forward. Remember, it's insignificant how far you go. Pull your shoulder blades back as you fold forward. And you're pressing the back of the legs into the floor. Try to take 3 or 4 breaths here. Neck is nice and long, chin is aiming towards the shins. And then inhale, come all the way up. Let's bring the bottoms of the feet together. Let the knees hang out to the sides. So you can take the insides of the feet. We'll just take a few breaths here and we can just breathe sitting straight up. But see, after a breath or two, if you can start to just kind of peel the feet open with your hands. And that'll help the knees maybe go down a little bit. This is a lot of work for the back. Just keep using the muscles. Engage the abdominals. And we're gonna round here. So get tall. And as you exhale, press the abdominals towards the spine, press the spine towards the back body, drop the top of the head towards the feet. So your whole upper body is like a C. We have these thin muscles on either side of the spine called the erector spinae. And they're pretty superficial, so they're pretty close to the surface. You might be feeling a stretch on either side of the spine in those muscles right now. Inhale, come all the way up. Bring the knees together. And then we're gonna cross the legs in easy pose. So however you're comfortable, just cross the legs. Fingertips on the floor in front of you. And then we're gonna walk the fingertips forward. Keep lengthening the spine as you walk forward. And again, it doesn't matter how far you go. You can land on the forearms, or you can just keep walking the fingers forward and maybe, you know, your head goes to a block or the floor, something like that. So basically we're trying to fold forward here and get a stretch in the back. You might feel this in your legs. Your hips might prevent you from going too far, and that's okay. Focus on drawing the shoulder blades back. And so if your lower back is nice and straight, it is okay to, I don't want to use the word round. The word is really flexion. It's okay for the spine to go into flexion here, okay? And then walk, we'll lift the head. We're gonna walk the fingertips to the right. And then walk to the left. Nice and slow. Pretty deep manipulation in the spine in many different directions here. And then we're just gonna sit back up. Good. Now switch the feet. Whatever foot was on top is on the bottom now. And this is important. I've had some teachers that are from Eastern culture. You know, their moms are 80 years old. They still sit on the floor, but they've always sat in the same position over and over again. So they have problems with their feet still. So we always want to try to get comfortable in the awkward position instead of what's comfortable for us. So we're going to go through that whole thing with our other leg. So if the other side was difficult for you, you might even not go as far on this side. Try to lengthen the spine. And so Robin, you could probably round, I don't know if your legs are stopping you, but you can allow your back, as long as the lower back stays nice and straight, the upper back can come down. Let me see. Okay. Yep, and if this is not okay for your neck, you can lift the chin a little bit. Yeah, yeah. And then hopefully you'll get a little bit more of a stretch in the back. Because while we're doing this, we can still pay attention to the inner edges of the shoulder blades. Go ahead and stay down. So when you go down, just to be sure you're not injuriously rounding the back, just pull the shoulder blades towards each other. And then inhale, lift, walk the hands to the right. And to the left. And then go ahead, sit up. Just go ahead and move the body around a little bit. Right fingertips to the floor, inhale the left arm up. We're gonna come into a side bend now. So lateral stretch for the spine. And left fingertips down, inhale the right arm up. Exhale, lean to the left. Back to center and down. We're gonna lie down on our backs because I'd like to do our twist on our back. So go ahead and lie down. All of this sitting we've just done. Kind of let the spine settle. And then bring the knees up towards the body. Squish the lower back, left to right. You've been here before. And then feet to the floor. We're not going to go in too deep of a stretch, even though the spine is warmed up. We'll just keep it gentle. So bring your hips to the left, drop your knees to the right. I would like you to explore straightening that top leg though, like you're kicking out through the heel. You might feel it more in the top hip. Actually, that's more of like the trochanter, the IT band area. And then let's see what we can do with the arms here. Maybe just extend or bend the elbows. If this is causing too much of a fold in the left arm, just keep your left arm down, unless you have your blanket nearby and you can support it. We're taking 3 more breaths here. And then bend that top knee. So back to where we started. Engage the abdominals, bring yourself back to center. Hips come to center, shoulder blades are flat. All of these transitional mindful things are important before we move right on to the next thing. It just trains your mind to slow down. So hips to the right, knees to the left. Extend that top leg, kick out through the heel. I'm not able to do it because I'm next to a wall, but you do it. And then decide what you're going to do with your arms. I'm definitely more open on this side. As long as your shoulder is heavy towards the mat and it doesn't feel like you're pinching a nerve, you know, then you can go ahead and keep your arms down, but be mindful of that. We're going to take 3 more breaths here. Go ahead and bend the top knee back. Engage the abdominals, come back to center. And then straighten the legs, bring the arms overhead. Take a stretch here. Lots of sitting, lots of flexion in the hips. Let's open the hips. Keep your arms up, bend the right knee and drop the knee out to the right. So a supine tree pose here. Supine Vrikshasana is what it is called. There will be no quiz later. Remember, the left leg stays active. You can even be kicking out through the heel. And breathe. One more breath. And before you lift the knee, because we really don't want to pull at the hip, engage the abdominals, engage the glutes, and then bring the knee back up towards the ceiling. Straighten the right leg and bend the left as high up as you can go, and then drop the knee out to the left. If your arms are done being above the head, just go ahead and bring them onto the belly. Adjust your shoulder blades so they're flat on the mat. Kick out through the right heel and breathe here. And be aware of the areas of the body where you're using muscular action and where you're stretching. Engage. On our next exhale, we're going to bring the knee back up towards the ceiling and then bend both knees, separate the feet, and then drop the knees left to right. And then slow down your rocking. We'll roll onto our side and push ourselves up with our arm. Come to hands and knees. And then bring your hands all the way to the front of the mat. We're going to do big hip circles here. Even though we're not right on, like bearing weight right on our arms, we're still going to be using the joints. So make sure you're lined up. Good foundation like always. Shift your weight forward, side, back, and side. Keep going like this. Maybe make it less rigid and more like big circles. We're going to go in one direction and then 4 or 5 times in the other direction. All right, come back to center. We're going to take the tops of the hands and do a little stretching of the wrist here. And actually just sit back on your heels. And if this isn't comfortable, like Robin, you might want to put your blanket behind your calf muscles here. That might help. And if it doesn't help, just, just sit down. We're going to bring the right arm forward, fingertips pointing up, and then pull the fingers back. So even if you start to feel some compression in the lower half of the body, this is okay. We're kind of compressing the lower body so then things can flow freely in the upper body. So that feeling, that sensation is not a bad thing. Fingertips down, pull them back. And then other side. And shake the right hand, left fingertips up, pull them back. And then point down, pull them back. Shake that out. Last thing, and then we'll get off of our heels. Palms together, and we're just gonna roll and open the palms. Tops of the hands will come together, and we're just gonna do circles as we roll the wrists. Just do the best you can here. I know it's a little bit harder to see through the screen, especially when I reverse it and your mind is like, what? So then reverse it in the other direction. Good. And then shake out your hands, lift up off your heels, remove the blanket. We're gonna keep the sitting bones off the heels, and we're gonna come down onto our forearms. Bring the knees to the edges of the mat. So we're not coming into a regular child's pose here, but the legs will be the same as regular child's pose. Big toes come together. And you can just keep walking forward on the forearms and let the spine sink towards the front of the body. And if you feel like you can go further, like shifting your hips back and pushing the floor away from you so your arms are extended, go ahead and try it. And your forehead can rest on the mat or a block. See if you can completely let go of the muscles around the spine here. And so if we really focus on releasing the spine, even if we feel like we've softened everything in the back body, bring your awareness and even visualize the muscles hanging onto the spine. And picture them getting softer and the spine sinking deeper into the body. You might even get some cracking going on. One more breath here. And then press your hands. If you're on your forearms, you're gonna just lift the head. And then we're gonna straighten the legs and come all the way down onto our bellies, okay? So let me just show you really quickly how we're gonna have our hands, because we are gonna rest our forehead onto our hands. And we want to have our hands kind of like a diamond shape. So some people are comfortable third eye area, forehead, resting it right into that triangle. I personally, for whatever reason, I have to rest my thumbs on the third eye area. So I feel like I'm not suffocating, but we're gonna come all the way down and rest our heads on our hands like that. So elbows come out to the sides, make that diamond shape, and put the forehead down. And then you're gonna we're coming into frog pose. So you're gonna take the left knee and open it. and then the right knee and open it. It really doesn't matter how far open the knees go. Basically, just opening the hips, but putting pressure on it this time. And then instead of the feet coming together because they'll lift, I want you to make sure that the feet are right directly down from the knees. So the knees are at a 90-degree angle, okay? We're gonna breathe here for a few moments and release the hips into the mat. Let the shoulders drop, let everything drop here. One or two more breaths. And then go ahead and lift the head. Straighten the legs one at a time, no rush. Bring your hands to your lower ribs. And we're gonna push up to hands and knees. So push yourself up. Bring the big toes together, knees apart, and fall back into child's pose. We're gonna give our arms a rest here. If you need something to put underneath your forehead for support, do that, because we're gonna grab the bottoms of the feet and just come into a ball here and release. One more breath here. And then bring your hands to the mat, lift the head, remove your support, and come to hands and knees. Right leg is gonna come forward. I should take this sweater off. You probably can't see what's going on with my legs. Right leg comes forward, and then we're gonna lift up and just put our hands on top of our thigh here. Get nice and tall and just rock back and forth. Exhale forward, inhale, come back. Exhale forward, inhale, come back. We'll do it one more time. Try to go a little further this time. Inhale back. Go all the way back. Use your fingertips to help you. Straighten the right leg and sit back on your left heel. Is this okay? If not, yeah. If not, just come back to hands and knees for a moment. Or bring your leg down into Janu Shirshasana, and we'll just do that. But if you're able to sit on the heel, sit on the heel. We're gonna walk the fingertips forward. So either way, you're doing a forward fold. You're stretching the back of the right leg, shoulders back. 3 breaths here. And then it takes a little bit more to lift here, but we're all gonna meet back at hands and knees, okay? So shifting back to the low lunge, and then right leg comes back. Once we're all at hands and knees, we're gonna bring the left leg forward, bring the hands up onto the thigh, get tall in the chest. Make sure your knee and your foot are not too close together. You wanna have a nice wide stance for balance. Exhale, shift forward. Inhale back. Exhale forward. Inhale back. One more time. See if you can go a little further. And then all the way back. So you can do your forward fold, whichever way you're doing it. And then once you're ready, walk the fingertips forward. Inhale, lift. Start to shift yourself back. Return to hands and knees. Plant the hands and get ready for downward facing dog. So really pay attention to your wrists, your hands, curl the toes under, inhale, hips up and back. Pedal the feet. Move the body however it feels good. There's no perfect way to do down dog. There's a way to do it and not injure yourself, but we're always refining it. Lengthen through the tailbone and come to stillness. So arms are straight, ears are lined up with the inner arms. Let your heels be heavy towards the mat, even if the knees are bent. Inhale, look up, and begin to step forward. However you have to get there. Once you arrive, fold. Press all four corners of the feet, and then inhale, bring the arms all the way up. Palms together, exhale, hands in front of the heart. And then we're gonna just kind of come together in mountain pose. It's very interesting, and it just must be me reading your guys' energy or something, but there's been so much lethargy going on this month. We've been doing a lot of stuff down, grounding stuff, staying on the mat, but we do eventually come up. So just let the arms dangle. The shoulder blades are doing the work. The neck is long. Feel your feet rooted into the mat. And try closing the eyes here. If it's not comfortable, you can open them back up, but just see. And we're just gonna recalibrate the breath. Find our center before we move on. And see if you can bring just one more level, and Janet, this will sound familiar to you, one more deeper level of release in the hands. Really let the hands soften and see what that does for the mind. And go ahead, blink the eyes open. Isn't it crazy how releasing the hands makes the mind feel quieter? At least for me, it does. Come to the front of your mat if you're not already. We're gonna bring the left leg back. Bend the front knee. Press the outer edge of the back foot. And we're just gonna bring the palms together, straight out in front of us. So shoulders back. We'll take a couple of breaths here. Be sure that the right knee is open over the second and third toe. And we're gonna come into a twist here. So it's gonna look like this. You can watch me do it real quick. We're just gonna slide this right hand back, open up the right shoulder, and then right hand comes back, okay? So go ahead and try it. Nice and slow, keep the legs planted where they are. Try to revolve the right shoulder back. And then just swing that right arm back to the front. Come back to Tadasana, mountain pose. Bring the right leg back. Bend the front knee. Your right glute should be engaged. Press the outer edge of the back foot, inner edge of the front foot. And then just release the tailbone here. Bring the hands together straight out in front of you. And you can even gaze at your thumbs. Just make that your focus point for 2 more breaths. And then slowly slide this left arm, making sure you touch the left shoulder to revolve it back and open. And then bring it back forward. Palms together, back to mountain pose. Good. Let's do 2 sun salutations just to move the shoulders a little bit more. So come to mountain pose. Inhale, bring the arms up, reach as high up as you can. Exhale, fold all the way down to the floor, so bend your knees if you need to. Drop the head completely, yep. Inhale, look up. And exhale, step back. You can come to your knees to lower down to the floor in chaturanga. Just be sure your elbows are touching the sides of the body as you do it. Good. Inhale, lift the chest, shoulders, and head for cobra. Feel the back of the legs engage. And then exhale, you choose down dog or child's pose for 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, look up, step forward. Exhale, fold all the way. Inhale all the way up. And exhale, hands in front of the heart. Good, 1 more time. Focus on engaging the abdominal muscles as we go through the whole thing. Inhale, bring your arms up. Exhale, fold, bend the knees. Inhale, look up. Good. Exhale, step back, chaturanga. Use your knees if you need to. Lower evenly as you can. Good. Inhale, lift to a cobra. And then exhale, take it back, your choice, down dog or child's pose. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Inhale, we're going to just meet in down dog. And then we'll look up and step forward. And then exhale, fold. Inhale your arms all the way up. And then palms together, hands in front of the heart. Good. Okay. I'm going to do one more thing before we finish this class today. Separate the feet, hip width apart. We're going to fold forward. Okay, so you can bend your knees here. Grab your big toes with your peace fingers. In fact, you're really going to have to work at pulling the shoulders back and belly to the thighs. So even my knees stay bent here. And then you're going to let the elbows go left and right, and you're going to drop the head completely. We're going to take 3 breaths here. And then inhale, lift the head. We're going right back down to the floor. So palms are planted. So bend the knees if you need to, and then come to your knees. Cross at the ankles and lie down. So one last time, knees up to the chest, rock left to right. And if you want to bring this into a happy baby, you can. So grabbing the insides of the legs to push the knees down, or grabbing the bottoms of the feet to press the knees down. Either way, rock left to right. And then bring the knees back together as you come to stillness. Drop the feet. Extend the legs, bring the arms overhead, and take a long stretch. All right, get set up for your Shavasana. So be sure you're as comfortable as possible. And maybe try something new, cover up with a blanket or turn the lights off or cover the eyes, something like that. Only if you want to. The palms are facing up towards the ceiling. Separate the ankles and let the feet hang out to the sides. Begin to soften all the muscles in the face, smoothing out the forehead, allowing the cheeks to hang, and even feeling a release of the inner ear canals. Release the tongue, the jaw, and the throat. Feel the collarbone soften and the entire rib cage, front and back of the body, soften. And as you continue to feel this wave of softness down through the torso and into the hips and legs, feel the bones settling to the back of the body, like debris settling to the bottom of a pond. Noticing which part of the body feels the heaviest. Maybe the hips. And as you feel that heaviness and that groundedness, allow the heart to feel light and lifted. As you spend these next few moments giving yourself a great gift of relaxation.